Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the ESG Experts. These episodes are weekly and they happen every Thursday at 12 p.m. UK time. My name is Gihan Hyde, and I am the founder and CEO of CommUnique. We are the ones who would help you to start your ESG and sustainability journey by communicating effectively, by changing your business model to reflect it, but most importantly, by training your employees to understand how they can help you cement your vision and mission when it comes to sustainability and people and planet. With me today is the one and only Kevin Holliday. He is the managing director of C3. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Gihan. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, thank you for saying yes. So, Kevin, the reason I invited you before you introduce yourself properly, I just want to give some context of why I'm interested to speak to you, is because the work you do and what your colleagues are doing is actually plays a crucial role of saving our people and having an impact on our planet. And this is why I'm really looking forward to today. So, Kevin, let's begin. So, who is C3 and why should we pay attention to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much. C3 or Companies Creating Change. We've been around for the last 10 years and we try to help and support change makers when it comes to impact-driven entrepreneurs by accelerating their sort of social environmental impact. We're a social enterprise. We're based in the UAE and we cover the Middle East and Africa region, basically to try to unlock unique opportunities, achieve incredible growth, and obviously therefore being sustainable and lasting impact for future to come. We've been able to really garner a huge ecosystem of experts, trainers, also investors to help close the loop on the entrepreneurial journey. And we were recognized for goal 17 in relation to the UN SDGs partnerships for the goals, which was a real sort of testament to us being able to partner with corporates and governments and then being able to support on the ground.
Perfect. Okay, so you're based in the UAE, like you said, but from my understanding as well, you also operate and you help startups in Africa. Why Africa? Why this continent?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been based predominantly in the Middle East and North Africa, but recently, the last couple of years, we've extended into sub-Saharan Africa, purely for the fact that ultimately the impact that we can have and we can support is phenomenal, during the fact that actually, you know, these guys are actually solving real life problems with their solutions. They are very embedded in their community. And some of the solutions have just been unbelievably ingrained, obviously, with their local communities. And I truly believe with the sort of right support and infrastructure and some of the amazing ideas that this region can really sort of help support the globe in terms of entrepreneurial solutions and ultimately contribute to sustainable economic growth within the continent.
And do you help startups on which phase? On the seed phase or on Series A, B, or where? How can startups who are doing good can come to you, and why?
Yes, yeah. Look, over the last 10 years, as I mentioned, we've been able to support many thousands of founders and accelerated over 250 during that period. And they have been across various different stages of their entrepreneurial journey, from early stage to later stage. But what we've seen recently is that C3's ability to really help push the agenda on many of the things that they are trying to overcome is at an early stage. So at a seed stage with their MVP already in place and ready to scale. But a lot of entrepreneurs and startups come to C3 because we are one of the only global impact focused accelerator programs that also help support where there is business fundamentals that need to be obviously learned to be able to be long-lasting, sustainable, and also to the fact that, you know, it's okay to make a profit, right? So to be around and be impactful in communities, that, you know, you have to be investor ready. You have to really look at how you can expand your solution and take on external funding.
And what's the percentage of female versus male founders? What do you see in this landscape? Because for me, I have a real issue at the moment. And the issue is that with accelerators and incubators, I find the male founders are predominantly accepted into these programs than female founders. I mean, the stats are telling in itself. How are you making sure that the balance is right?
Yeah, actually,
I mean, you can be honest and say, you know what, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, look, I'll be completely honest with you, and this is by no design. It's an overwhelming percentage. I mean, it's at least 1/3 of our founders are women, and over 80% of those actually go on to win the programs in terms of the accelerator programs, and that's purely because their solutions are so amazing, and there is nothing in terms of the way that we treat people any differently by onboarding in terms of evaluation. It just seems to be that with these types of solutions being very impactful in communities, environment, that there are a lot of female founders and they take it very seriously and demonstrate a huge resilience to never give up.
And where do you see the majority of sectors? So what good, I mean, okay, excuse my ignorance, but the sectors that these startups serve, what are the predominantly are they?
Yeah, actually, it's quite across the board. Obviously, when we are focused more from an impact perspective, it will be environmental, societal related, challenges that we are looking at in terms of sectors. But over the last couple of years, there's been a rise in health related education, as well as environmental solutions coming to the forefront recently. But to be honest, there is a huge amount across the different sectors that would normally also be associated with commercial first entities. It's just really that they are putting obviously their people and planet at the forefront of what their social mission is ultimately. So financial inclusion, these types of how they can leverage to try to help the unbanked, and then also be able to give people more added services on top of that as well, and to really help bring people out of poverty and upskill with various different educational related solutions. So we do see a lot across the board, to be fair.
Okay, financial inclusion for me is a very important topic, especially as someone like myself who comes from Sudan, and what my family is going through at the moment. I mean, they face absolute horrors by the fact that just because they're refugees, they don't have access to any banking systems. And the fact that the majority of my female cousins or aunties, let's leave cousins out, aunties, for example, they're not financially literate to use the applications that fintechs would offer. And it's a huge, I've just wrote an article, a post about it on my LinkedIn. So if you're interested in financial inclusion and you're watching this, please go into my LinkedIn to read why and how refugees are treated, and how it's a completely missed opportunity for societal growth if you don't look at the unbanked. But yeah, sorry, I'm just going on a tantrum here because I'm really disappointed with the system so far. Okay, so going back to you, what was the reason your founders founded C3?
Yeah, look, I mean, we've been around for, as I mentioned, 10 years, and the founders were very keen to try to help serve the community in a way that they can give, early stage entrepreneurs, or really anyone that has a mission to be able to succeed when it comes to the environment or societal, be able to be, as I mentioned, long-term impactful, and also be able to be profitable, to be able to raise investors. And there was a lack of early stage, I would say, solutions in the region that were really put on the radar for traditional investors back then. But what we're seeing really now is that obviously with the highlight of these types of solutions becoming more apparent, there is profit with a purpose. So really there is a big microscope being now widened when it comes to looking at investment in these types of solutions. Before, I would probably say there was the added, or the old stigma when it comes to trading profit for purpose, right? And you can be treated as a charity as opposed to a real entity. So now the combination, as I mentioned, to be able to do that has now really put the sort of highlight on these solutions to investors as well.
Okay, and so walk us through, when a startup comes and joins your program, how long are they with you and how do you prepare them?
Yeah, look, so one of the main sort of, I guess, USPs for us as C3 is that we treat all of our programs from an entrepreneur's perspective, because, as I mentioned, we are a social enterprise, and we link corporates to the latest technology innovation on the ground. That's how our business model works in terms of sponsoring our programs. So for us, entrepreneurs come to our programs. It's free to join the programs. And once they're in, they get trained in terms of 5 different key areas around impact, strategy, business, governance, and talent being the key modules. And that generally is a sort of 6 to 8 week intense period. And then we tend to run in the last part of the program either some mentorship or an investor demo day, where we bring everyone together to be able to have that network effect. And then, because we have investor relations across the region, we also try to create those support elements when it comes to matching with introductions to make sure that they're able to continue their journey. And also, the fact that they are a part of our C3 community, that's also something that we treat very seriously in terms of making sure they are continuing their journey, and we can leverage our amazing network that are willing to help, just because of their own causes. And that's what stands us apart from other sort of commercial accelerators, is that it's not just coming in for the program. We really truly believe in their mission, and we want to be able to support them for life, basically.
That's amazing, Kevin. How big are you from a team's perspective?
We're surprisingly very small. We have around 10 of us, but we're extremely committed as an individual collective to be able to support the missions that are very important to us. So my team is phenomenal in terms of the way that they conduct their business. We're able to, as I said, conduct and execute some amazing successful programs across the region that we continue to get, many referrals from, as well as, very high promoter scores. So what we do definitely works. And as I mentioned, I think it does really make a huge difference that we're so embedded in the entrepreneurs themselves. Okay,
and what's been the highlight for C3 this year?
Well, the highlight, actually, we've got it just every day is there's something new that we really want to try to achieve. There's many initiatives that we sat down and try to reflect after each program and try and give everyone an opportunity. So for us, we're launching what we call our C3 Impact Hub. This is a free to access platform that gives anyone the opportunity that is interested in impact and sustainability, whether you're a sort of aspiring entrepreneur or someone just wanting to understand a little bit more about the ecosystem, some basic sort of foundational knowledge to be able to understand what it's like to put together either a pitch deck or understand how you look at impact measurement, with a view to then potentially becoming sort of accelerator ready, because we've had a large success, as I mentioned, in some of the programs we run, where we have thousands of applications and we're only able to onboard 20 or 30 onto the program. So we got thinking that how can we support the guys that are all the thousands that are not able to come onto the program. So we launched the C3 Impact Hub, and that's something that we really want to be able to push to give those a little bit more of a foundation to be able to continue their journey. And on top of that, this year we're launching our C3 Impact Accelerators that are focused on 6 key verticals across energy, agriculture and food, diversity, inclusion, health tech, or health and human well-being, as well as financial empowerment, creative services, and one that is more focused on sort of education and skills development. So we've realized that when we have these sort of vertically defined programs, the entrepreneurs come together and the engagement is much higher. They love looking at each other's solution, how they can, they're going through the same pain as each other every day. and it also helps us in terms of having our sort of partners come on board that are very defined on maybe one or two UN SDGs specifically.
Nice. I love that. I love that. And do you think now with COP28 taking place in Dubai, do you think this is going to benefit you from a growth perspective and from an exposure? Are you partnering with anyone related to these teams?
Yes, so look, we've known obviously for a while with the two COPs being in the region, obviously the last one in Egypt and the one here now that's happening in Dubai, that the push on the agenda was very high. So for us, it was something that we wanted to be able to run in conjunction with the lead up to COP. So the one I mentioned around energy, agriculture and food, we are leading or launching in the lead up to COP, and we're hoping to showcase those amazing solutions at COP28 here in Dubai. We have numerous partners that have helped and supported us on our journey in the past that are willing to partner with us to make that happen. So it's all very, very exciting at the moment, because there has been a rise, as I mentioned, on the environmental side in terms of solutions that are tackling some key agendas, and some of those really need to be put on a platform to be able to showcase to the world that there are some really, really cool stuff happening at a sort of grassroots level.
Well, I was told, so I met the head of negotiations for COP28 and here in London, and she was saying for the first time ever, the green zone. So you know how there's the blue zone, and this is where the serious governmental negotiations takes place, and then there's the green zone where the exhibitors can come together and showcase their work. But this time they're dedicating a whole part of the green zone to entrepreneurs and startups that are helping, save our people and planet. Are you aware of this? Have you been told about this?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as I mentioned, we've got various discussions going on with all of our partners in terms of how we can leverage it to the most possible, maximum opportunity. But you're absolutely right that I'm very happy and pleased that obviously the startups and entrepreneurs are getting a bit of a platform to be able to showcase their tremendous solutions, because it is something that the corporates and the large multinationals that around the world need to sort of wake up to when it comes to the latest innovation and how they can partner together to be able to make sure that we are tackling the solutions in a collaborative way. So it's amazing that there is that platform.
Yeah, I was so pleased when first of all, I was shocked that it didn't occur previously, to be fair, and then second of all, I was like, amazing. Okay, I'm going to be calling all of the startups that I'm aware of and encourage them to go and apply, because I'm assuming there's a process that you need to go through to be part of the green zone. And I was thinking, how am I going to highlight this for the startups? How do I make it famous, if that makes sense, and more impactful? But yes, no, I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait to hear about it. So when is your new cohort starting?
So we're launching the program in terms of the application process from next month onwards, and then the program will launch around early September in terms of onboarding the cohorts. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you choose your mentors?
Yes, that's a great question, because being involved in this ecosystem, more in detail or in depth over the last couple of years, I've been just shocked at how the quality of senior people that just reach out and want to be part of this movement in terms of wanting to support impact-driven startups. So we are very fortunate the fact that we have this incredible ecosystem that people just want to learn more about and get involved in. So when we choose these types of people, it's really some way just reaching out, and people just immediately want to help and support in no sort of way other than just from their own personal perspective. It's just phenomenal.
Gosh, I might be a fly in the wall for these ones. Maybe I'll come and join you to just see what the startups go through.
Yeah, it's incredible. There is, we on previous programs that we've run, one of which was a 4-year program with HSBC with an impact accelerator. We had an initiative where we ran board meeting simulations for the entrepreneurs, where we invited six virtual board members, which were, across various different experts and investors. And the value that they got from having those sort of senior people's input was phenomenal. But off the back of that, a large proportion of those sort of virtual board members actually became board members or advisors of the company because they love them so much. So it's I guess it just tantamount to the quality of solutions and the entrepreneurs that we're seeing, as well as people really genuinely wanting to help.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, that's good. No, I'm really pleased. I am really pleased. And so last but not least, what help do you ask of people? How can we support you? Because what you're doing is amazing, but I'm sure you can do more. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, look, I mean, we're very mission driven, as I said, to be able to help and support the founders, and for us, and me particularly, we're a big believer in stronger together and partnerships that are very fruitful for both sides to be able to agree on or achieve their strategic objectives. So for us, it's quite an easy way of actually just trying to navigate a difficult space when it comes to securing partnerships, because what we do is obviously try to lead on technology innovation and the latest stuff that's happening on the ground, to also showcase to larger corporates in terms of that ability to be able to see what's happening on the ground. So for us, it's just partnerships are very fruitful. Our business model is, as I mentioned, wrapped around securing sponsors for our programs. We've been very successful in the past in having some major partners that have been phenomenal in driving those. So for us, it's just all about how we can help and support. And we're not any way driven by ego or these types of things. We generally want to help. So for us, it's been really easy to have these types of relationship because of that.
Okay, and last but not least, and that's purely for my own curiosity, how do you measure success?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's the number of partnerships that who will be investing in. I mean, there must be another way of measuring success.
Yeah, look, I mean, we very sort of embedded in the way that we try to measure success, because as we know, this type of activity doesn't necessarily have a direct return on investment like a financial metric would necessarily have. So what we try to do is give indications of how these startups are continuing their journey, or entrepreneurs. As I mentioned, the 250 that have been through our accelerator programs, 97% of them are still operational over the last 4 years, which we know when you benchmark in the normal commercial environments, the 1 in 10 is successful. So literally there's only been a handful of companies that have actually failed to live to their operational constraints. And they've raised almost 300 million in the last couple of years. Again, that's just just a reflection of how the landscape is changing from an investor's perspective. And yeah, we just really so for the next level for us, it's really about how we measure impact around environmental emissions, and how we can look at job creation, and how we go further in terms of beneficiaries that we're able to support, because we're sort of in that middle layer where we're sort of like a university or a school. So we're helping upskill people, but we don't actually have the decision making that they would do on a day-to-day basis. So we want to try to understand how our impact has been accelerated during that process. And one of which of the things we do is at the beginning of each program, we get the entrepreneurs to take a self-diagnostic tool, which is around 30 questions as a sort of litmus test of where they are, and gives us two insights. One, that we can sort of tailor our training to their more immediate needs, but also to then measure, maybe after 1 year, 2 year, the potential progress that they've made around those key areas. So again, that's something that we will continue to measure in terms of the success for us. But yes, it's definitely something we take very, very seriously, and that's why we expanded to sub-Saharan Africa, and now we want to really go a little bit more global. But we realise that that our heart is in the emerging markets.
Please stay there. Yes, don't go
Yes,
anywhere.
it's fascinating. I personally find it absolutely unbelievable, and the entrepreneurs are just they're very driving the core around solving, as I mentioned, real life problems. So it makes it much more tangible from my perspective. You see a lot of solutions in the Western world that are just not really solving a problem. To be honest, they're actually making it more complex, or just it's not really directly attributable to something that really makes a difference. So yeah, I do believe in emerging markets very much so.
Great. I think one of the gaps that the majority of so I'm a mentor in a couple of accelerators, and I personally believe there is one part that accelerator programs don't measure, and that is the customer advocacy of these startups and the brand reputation. They don't factor that as a success because they don't realize the importance of comms in making things happen and cementing the position of these startups in their market and increase their market share. So that is something I'm now trying to move the dial towards and say, look at comms, look at how they're communicating, look at the results of this communications. Are they getting the right advocacy from the clients? Are they getting the right sentiments from the clients? So yes, wish me luck. Anyways, yeah, it's not happening, sadly.
But like you said, it's very important from a brand perspective, especially obviously with the solutions that we help and support, that their mission is able to come out very clearly in what their value proposition is, because ultimately in a world now where consumers are getting a little bit more conscious on their brand purchases, and also the ability to attract and retain talent with people that want to work for these brands that are more conscious about what we try to do in terms of our communities and the environment. I completely agree. So the branding element, yes, it does, but as we know with startups, it's not always the money is always available for these types of things when it comes to branding, right? So absolutely agree.
Yeah, but the onus is not on the startups. I was thinking about it to be used as a KPI for you.
Yes, absolutely correct. Sorry, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. No, the startups, bless them, they're so busy trying to sell, they're not even thinking about that, including myself. I was like, I'm a marketer by background. So it was pure luck that I'm able to focus on marketing, and brand recognition. But otherwise, as a founder, my main problem or my main drive is to cement my services and cement sales, basically. Anyways, we are about to reach our end. So Kevin, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, what is the best way possible to do that?
Yeah, the best way is, for me personally, always open through LinkedIn is probably the best way personally. You can visit our website, wegrowwith c3.com, and you can learn more about the programs there that we run and what our offering is in terms of the proposition overall. But we, as a collective, as I mentioned, we're always open, always happy to have conversations with founders, entrepreneurs, partners, to really bring together, because we have, and I take this very personally, in terms of a job to do on the link between the sort of public, private, and early stage entrepreneurship, and trying to really bridge that gap. So, because the agility on the ground is much easier for some of these solutions than it is for larger corporates. And for me, that's where they could really, really build upon, and hopefully we can then make sure that we tackle all these challenges as a collective.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Thank you for your time, Kevin. I'm really grateful. And thank you all for joining us. I know we were a little bit late due to a power cut in my household, but otherwise, we'll see you next week. You take care.
Thanks, Gihan. Thank you, everyone.